So usually when I do a review, I'll go on Google, research the film, get graphics for the thumbnail, overlays, stuff like that, technical aspects. And for Godzilla Minus One, I did the exact same. Now Google always has the what people also search for a certain topic that you've searched. And here it said, is Godzilla Minus One a real movie? Yes, it is a real fucking good movie. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today it's going to be my review of Godzilla Minus One. I caught a 10 a.m. screening this morning here in Sydney. It's been doing the rounds for a couple of days all over the world, so I'm a little late to the party. So Godzilla Carry the One is the 37th film in the Godzilla franchise and is the 32nd Godzilla film in the Toho realm. Now the film is directed by Takashi Yamazaki and takes place just after the events of World War II in Japan, where the people of Tokyo are pestered by Godzilla. He breaks some stuff. The people of Tokyo figure out a way to stop the creature, and of course, hijinks ensue. Now, first and foremost, let me talk about the marketing for this. Well, I'd love to talk about the marketing, but there's like fuck all marketing. Like, I had no idea this film existed until a couple of weeks ago, and there was no marketing in Australia. It's only got a limited release here in Australia, and I think it goes for the rest of the world as well. Don't get me wrong, it's predominantly playing in a lot of cinemas all over Sydney, but it's got like 1 or 2 session times a day, which is pathetic. Now, when it comes to my history with the Godzilla films, I am by no means a Godzilla expert. I know there are people out there where Godzilla is their religion, and I respect that. That's like me with the Elm Street franchise, but I have not watched all of the Toho films. In fact, true story, and it's so problematic when you think about it today. My year 8 Japanese teacher, shout out to Mr. Durley, when he would come into class to teach us Japanese, no joke, he would put on an old Godzilla VHS tape, sit down and read the paper. And that is how we learned Japanese. I did not take anything in, but that's how he taught Japanese. Kid you not. So that was my introduction to the Toho series. I absolutely loved it. I loved the practical effects, the miniature work, the creature suit effects. It was all bloody brilliant. And just for something that was so long ago, and how they built that original creature suit or creature suits. I actually watched an interview with the original Godzilla suit performer, and he said that rubber was so hard to find back then post-war. So they built a lot of parts of the original suit from concrete. And that's why he looks so stiff and rigid. Correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think it was all concrete, but there are some concrete elements, which is interesting, and I will touch on more about it, but there are those certain elements incorporated into this particular design of Godzilla in Godzilla Minus One. Now, I'm getting very sidetracked. So there is my involvement with the Toho series, and like now, obviously my main jam from being a 90s kid was the 1988 Matthew Broderick film Godzilla. It is very cheesy, very hokey, very Roland Emmerich, but it still stands up from fun nostalgia. It's not a perfect Godzilla film. In fact, it is far from a perfect Godzilla film. But then we had the 2014 Gareth Edwards Godzilla film, and I loved that film. It is severely flawed, but at the same time, it's fucking brilliant. I love the size and the design of Godzilla. I love the teaser trailer for this film. It just evoked dread and just carnage, but also this haunting element to it, if that makes sense. And then we've also had Godzilla, King of the Monsters, and Godzilla has become quite Hollywood over the last couple of years. But I can safely say with Godzilla Minus One, it goes against all of that and blew me the fuck away on a budget of $15 million, making some $250 to $300 million films, looking at you Marvel, look like absolute shit. From a visual effects standpoint, a technical standpoint, an acting, a production design standpoint. Now, director Takashi Yamazaki not only is the director, but he wrote the film and was the visual effects supervisor. So he comes from a background of visual effects, and you can tell so much care has been put into this film, especially when it comes to the visual effects. They are on a limited budget, but like I said, it looks like a $300 million production. Can you imagine what these guys could do with $300 million and how good it would look? The setting of post-World War II is beautiful, haunting, so well captured in terms of the production design, the set dressing, the costumes, everything. We have our main protagonist of the film, and I'm not going to attempt any of the actors' names because I do not want to disrespectfully butcher them. But the cast is a class act. You have all ends of the spectrum. We have elements of Jaws in there with the ragtag boat crew that go after Godzilla. But our main protagonist is suffering from survivor guilt, PTSD from the events that happened at the beginning of the film with his first encounter with Godzilla. And his performance is brilliant. As someone who has suffered from panic attacks, panic disorder, little sprinkle of PTSD, his mannerisms were on point, especially when it comes to the moments of sheer panic where your limbs, your extremities don't know what to do with themselves. You know, a lot of hair touching, grabbing of the face, hugging yourself. he nailed it so well. Now, when it comes to the design of Godzilla, I wouldn't say it's my favorite. I really do love the 2014 design, but I appreciate what they've done with this Godzilla. The creature is mean, it's nasty, it is so scarred, covered in scar tissue. It can regenerate. I love the spines on the back. Almost it looks like a giant piece of sharp coral moving through the water. I don't know if this was on purpose, and I don't know if any of you guys noticed it, but the way Godzilla was animated, when it moved through the streets, smashing buildings, it almost harkened back to the original suit performers from the original Toho films, kind of that awkward stiffness. And I really appreciate that, because this creature isn't agile, it isn't tactile, it's clumsy at times, but it also packs a punch and a half. When it comes to the design of the charging up atomic breath, I thought the 2014 film had nailed it. That made me gooey in the jocks. This, however, completely overrid the 2014 film's look of the charge up and the heat breath. You see the spines almost lock out of place as it charges up the creature's back. The sound design is just... it's so good. Not only that, but the effects and the physics of the heat/atomic breath is akin to an actual atomic blast, where you have the shockwave and then pulling things back in, and then afterwards, radioactive rain. It's brilliant. I'm a bit all over the place at the moment. There's so many things I want to talk about, and obviously that's why I write my notes, and I have my laptop on the train ride home because I had to catch the train into town to see the film. But this film has so much good going for it, and it's just such a crime that it's got a limited release. And going back to the $15 million budget, again, I don't know how the hell they did it, and there are some little featurettes out on YouTube right now with how they did the visual effects. Just a lot of beautiful, seamless work. There are times where some water elements look a little bit iffy, but you got to keep in mind, $15 million. For what they did for $15 million, and I don't know what the visual effects budget was, they absolutely nailed it. Again, there just were a few times when a ship's going through water, Godzilla's going through water, and you're like, oh, that layer there looks a bit off. Keep in mind, the size of just the water elements alone was 500 terabytes. That's crazy. I get the shits when I take up an extra gig on this laptop, and I know there are some visual effects artists that will hear 500 terabytes and be like, oh yeah, it's not too bad. But that's just crazy, man. And I know there are times in film when visual effects can hide certain things when it's a nighttime shot, or a certain visual effects shot can be forgiven when it's nighttime. I actually found the nighttime shots of Godzilla not as strong as the daytime shots. Again, the creature design is beautiful. I love how flawed the creature is, covered in scar tissue. Its body has a history. I know I'm rambling a lot, guys, but overall, Godzilla Minus One did exactly what I wanted it to do, and then some. Again, it's heartbreaking that this isn't getting a wider release, and it deserves all the praise and success coming its way. Yamazaki's crafted a grim, depressing, action-packed, and at times horrific look at the world of Godzilla. It pays respects to what came before it and where it started. The performances are beyond captivating and tough to watch at times. This isn't your grandfather's Godzilla. This is the Godzilla that burrows into your psyche and hits a nerve you never thought a Godzilla film would. The Hollywood Godzilla films of late have been very surface level, and most times the characters are extremely forgetful, but you genuinely give a shit about these characters and root for them, as opposed to rooting for the creature, where in this instance, the creature is a total fuckhead. And going back to the $15 million budget, Hollywood needs to take notice of this. You don't need $300 million to make gold. Sometimes it's love, care, talent, and dedication, and this film is the prime example of it. Don't get me wrong, I would love to see a follow-up to this, but at the same time, if it just stands on its own, I'm happy. It ticked all the boxes for me. And once again, making Godzilla the enemy was brilliant, and not having pathos for the creature. One thing I am very excited for, and given the proper care, it's going to look incredible with a 4K release. It's a beautifully shot film. The visual effects are incredible for the budget that it had. The costumes, the production design, the acting, everything is beautiful. It's just a giant bubble of care that has been taken for the world of Godzilla. You can tell the cast and crew are fans. And again, given its limited release, I hope it has all the success in the world and then some, because this is an absolute experience and a half. You have to experience it in the cinema. I was hoping to see it in IMAX, but there wasn't a session that could fit in with my schedule. But if the chance ever arose again where it does have another release down the track, I would love to see it in IMAX. Guys, with that being said, I'm going to be giving Godzilla Minus One 5 Matthew Brodericks out of 5.
That's a lot of fish.
I had can too. So guys, once you've seen Godzilla Minus One, please drop a comment below. Let me know your thoughts. I know I got very passionate in my review, but fuck me. Such a good film. So happy for the cast, the crew. Everyone should be beyond proud for what they've accomplished with such a minimal budget. Love you guts, and I'll catch you in the next one.